So I had this game. Oh, and we're on our way here.
Right, so there's two strats you can do at the start of 1-1. One involves just throwing the barrel, another involves, getting right up to the enemy and then breaking the barrel off the guy on the top, and then Donkey will immediately get hit. The beaver dude at the bottom, and that saves the time saves the time wasted by throwing the barrel. Instead, you just break it instantly, which saves a little bit of time.
Pretty clean 1-1. And 1-2, we're going to see the first use of a bonus to warp throughout the level in the game. We're going to see it one more time in World 5.
Yeah, there's only 2 bonus warps. They don't save much time. Well, this one saves more than the second one.
Yeah, the only reason I think we do the second one is because going through that corridor with the bees takes forever.
Well, the second bonus warp is 1 second faster than not taking it.
Just a second, really.
Yeah, it's just a second.
Well then. Take note of the corners that you see Diddy walking along here on the map, because we'll be referencing those later.
Yeah, it's going to be very useful later.
So what you did there, you just kind of stuttered a little bit to line the camera up. It didn't work very well, but you sort of do a quick little left-right wiggle to line up the Kremlings, and you can roll through all of them and keep some pretty hot speed.
What he's doing for the crawl spaces is, if you jump into a crawl space, you can move at full speed as long as you're holding down or jumping. You'll move at normal speed through a crawl space. If you let go of down while you're sitting still, you'll go back into a regular crawl space state, which is very slow.
Yeah, these little crawl space zips save a deceptive amount of time.
Yeah, they're pretty important. All right, Crawl Capers is a lot of people like to joke around, say it's the hardest level in the game because it's in World 1. It's incredibly easy to lose huge amounts of time due to hitting the wall.
Yeah, these water levels very tricky in a speedrun setting, because even if you bonk or hit a corner just a little bit, you can lose anywhere between frames and like full-on seconds.
Yeah, you can lose seconds.
The fish in DKC 1 controls a little bit differently than the rest of them. Everybody has their own preferences on which fish they think is best.
Most people who run DKC 1 say that the DKC 1 fish is better.
1-5 here, we're gonna just skip over the whole thing.
Yeah, you're just
after a quick little extendo here.
Yeah,
not here, but right about here. So he's gonna roll through these two, let go of Y, and then repress in midair. That lets him sort of keep a straight line, so he can jump on that enemy on the bottom.
Yeah, and then you just fly past everything else. Alright, now the first boss in the game, it's like a simple in concept, but in execution it's pretty difficult. You want to hit him at the peak of his jump, but it's pretty tricky to get the timing down. You can either use visual cues, or you could do it by feel. It's mostly preference though.
Juan getting out of World 1, the 3:44. Pretty good time. Now, unfortunately, we're going to be bypassing Winky by Winky Frog.
Unfortunate. Winky is the greatest animal buddy. We just haven't figured out the secret tech quite yet.
A lot of short little extendos happening in this level. And
yeah, lots of good movement in that level. Right. Minecart Carnage, you just jump over the barrel and you skip straight to the end.
A common mistake for new runners is that they'll hold right coming out of that barrel and they'll completely miss the minecart. It makes for a pretty good gag.
That just kills you. This is the hardest level in the first half of the game.
Bouncy is very, very hard. Too many bees, too many tires, not enough barrels.
The first half is relatively simple, but the second half, you have this, which called bee skip, where you have to move through crawls perfectly in order to make B cycles instead of having to wait for them.
He nails it.
You have lots of scary tire rolls, tire jumps that can see right there. He was trying to jump over that last tire, but he timed it late, which got him hit, so he had to pick up Diddy again. He decides to kill Monkey, which is actually slow, but I don't know. How many JP versions? I don't know much about the different Japanese versions, but Japanese version of the game itself is...
It's essentially 1.2, isn't it?
It's not exactly 1.2, I don't think.
No, unfortunately, we blinked and we missed a level. That was Stop and Go Station.
I mean, there's nothing really to say in Stop and Go, but this level, something to say. But you kill Donkey, have him jump off into the sky, and you store that jump that he gets. And when you kill Diddy, for some reason it works.
Yeah, that was our first instance of a super jump. We'll see that again in 3-3.
It's hard to explain that quickly.
And here we have Neki Senior, Neki Junior.
Yeah, this is Neki. It's just Neki.
Just Neki.
Just Neki. Like the Neki bosses are the only instances of RNG in the run, and it doesn't actually save or lose time. Like depending on where he spawns, but it's a lot easier to get optimal hits if he spawns lower. Much easier.
Yeah, there's only 2 or 3 seconds of variance on between extreme RNG cases on that boss.
Well, actually, if you execute it perfectly, there's 0, but it's definitely not practically there's going to be lots of variance in time depending on where he spawns.
And so Treetop Town here, we're going to try to jump on this vulture in such a way that we hit a tire that's off screen, sends us to another warp barrel near the end of the level, which is going to set us up for the super jump here in Forest Frenzy, which is probably my favorite super jump in the game because this is my least favorite level to do casually. It's so long. Yeah,
this level is pretty boring. It's just a long scroller.
For new runners, I would definitely suggest learning one of these as one of your first tricks. So here he's going to take damage as Donkey. He went
for the super jump. Wait a second. He went for the super jump roll after doing insta barrel. What? Why would he do that?
I think he was going for the super jump roll, wasn't he?
No, you would not. You wouldn't do insta barrel if you're going for the super jump roll.
You forgot to get Donkey so he can do the sack again.
So, going for insta barrel again. Why? I'm confused. Okay, so he just goes for the regular super jump.
Yeah. So he's gonna be he's holding Y and B in right now. It's sending him very high up over the stage. And right about now, he's going to be letting go of the B button. So now he's falling. The screen is still scrolling, and he's just falling way down. And you need to let go at a very certain spot, because if you keep holding B and Y, you're going to essentially wrap around. And it's going to take you a very long time to fall down again.
Yeah, well, eventually, if you hold B long enough, you do actually... wrap around back to the bottom of the screen.
And it just kills you, right?
Yeah, you just die because you're in the death, at the death barrier.
Jeez. So here's Temple Tempest.
Temple Tempest is a good level.
Pretty much Extendo Tempest. You're going to see a lot of extendos here, skipping ropes and rolling under them. Like, usually you're not supposed to be able to clear that gap with just a roll, but with the extendo, you can skip that one and jump to the second rope. And then another quick camera pan so that you can line up the Kremlings and roll through all of them as fast as you can. Rolling under the rope here. Pretty good Tempest.
Yeah, you do have 2 options. Oh wait, no. I thought I was thinking of the wrong spot. Never mind. Yeah.
Gets the big extendo, but jumps out of it prematurely. Probably smart, because you are solo Diddy here, so it's easy to just die. Go back to the beginning.
Everyone's favorite trick.
So it's time for map warp. He's going to take Funky back to World 1. Remember those corners that I was talking about? You have 1 frame while you're on the corner to do an input, which is going to warp you to a part in
first try.
Orangutan Gang. And he did it first try. Good for him.
Yeah, you won't always get first try. It's pretty hard to consistently get, map warp within a reasonable amount of tries. Just sometimes you'll have those runs where you're on good pace, but your map warp will be like 10 tries and your run's like bad.
Yeah, every 3rd try, I believe, is the big time loss, because you can... The second one, if you miss the first one, you can just go left and try it again on the second one, but you have to go through... You have to go over 2 corners to try again for a 3rd one. So that's an...
Yeah, like... Second try map warp is like almost no time loss, but 3rd try is pretty big.
So we're back in another water level.
Water level in the game.
With our guy... on guard, or as he's called in the community, Eduardo. You saw he just sort of clipped through that clam right there. Why people prefer the DKC 1 fish over DKC 2 and 3 fish is he has this ability where he's pretty much invincible when he's stabbing. So he can clip through a lot of enemies that you can't normally kill, like the croctopuses, like the croctopi, I guess, and the clams. If you can time it correctly, you can just go right through them. So here's Queen Bee. Cycle-based boss fight. Just time it correctly.
Alright, now we're moving on. Snow Barrel, which has very popular strat. It only says 6 frames, but it is very, very popular.
No, we don't have a name for it yet, so chat, if you want to name it.
Yeah, let's see if he goes for it.
I've seen him go for it before. I'm pretty sure he'll go for it now.
He did go for it.
Yeah, and he nailed it.
Nice.
6 frames, rolling in the snow, clearing that gap.
Yeah, it's just called the 6 frame roll in the snow. Nothing more.
So while holding that barrel there, he was able to get what we call a barrel boost. Oh no. Messed up the Neki cycle a little bit. Yeah, he got the first barrel boost, but not the second one. Basically, when you're holding a barrel and you tap B on a slope, you can... Wow, we got it again. When you tap B when you're on a slope, you can... it extends the range of your jump.
Jesus Christ, Nathan. Yeah.
He gets it again. Oh no, and he lost his barrel.
Dang. Yeah, on a regular slope, barrel boosts are 1 frame, but on snow, it lasts as however long you're on the slope.
Yeah, because that's physics, right?
Yeah.
That was a nice roll into that barrel there, going through all the Nekis. Now here there's a barrel hidden underneath there. That's, it's tricky to get to, and I didn't know it was there until I learned to speedrun the game, truthfully. The 3 players that are running this trilogy right now we have Wand on the left, and then LZ in the middle, and on the right we have Gasu. Here's Slipslide Ride. This level's hard, so we're gonna go out of bounds on the top of this rope and take a barrel right there on the left. The blue ropes will propel you upwards as you hold onto them, and the red ropes will propel you downwards.
And this final rope is very hard to optimize.
Wow, he did a really good job on that.
Yeah, that was really good.
Rope tech changes between the 3 games. And,
yeah, every game has unique rope tech.
So this is Snow Barrel Blast, right?
No, this is Ice Age Alley.
Ice Age Alley. I always confuse 4-1 and 4-3. Affectionately, we call this level Bird, because if you lose the bird, you're pretty much dead.
Well, you're not dead, but you're losing insane amounts of time.
It was looking like he's doing a pretty good job so far. There's not really much that can go wrong if you just pay attention to what you're doing.
And it looks like he messed up. Let's see how he's getting out of this. Ooh.
Got a barrel in the face from the orangutan there.
It looks like he's made it out, though.
Yeah, he's okay.
So, right.
And we're on to Croctopus Chase.
So this level is absurdly long. It's longer than the entirety of the final boss fight. And all it involves is optimizing your swimming, which means taking corners tightly and mashing as fast as you can.
Yeah, mashing and taking those corners is very integral. To beating this level as fast as possible. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on, but there's enough to keep you paying attention. As I said earlier, if you hit a corner too hard, you're gonna stop your momentum and you're gonna lose a few frames. Or if you take it really badly, you could straight up just stop, and it's gonna take you a second or two to get your momentum going. So,
yeah,
so for a level that has really calm and relaxing music, it's quite stressful.
Yeah.
He's taking those corners pretty well right there.
Well, it's up to you how much you want to concentrate on this level. Because, you know, you're not really going to make, like, any major mistakes in this level, like, ever, but if you, like, sort of just autopilot the level, the potential for time loss is pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Very big.
Yeah. So what you do once you reach the end of the level is you listen to how many notes of you get a little piano jingle at the end, and however of that you hear is basically how well you did the level. And the absolute best you can do this level is called pianoless, where you don't hear any notes of the piano whatsoever. And so far, there's only one person who's actually achieved it. And they go by the name of KB's on FC1.
So you're gonna hear the piano in the middle of the game, middle of level regardless, but it's near the end where you really want to minimize the amount of piano that you hear.
Yeah. And now we move on to Torchlight, which is basically the start of the really hard levels.
So what he's doing there is called back boosting, where as soon as he lands on an enemy that he knows that he can't kill, you turn around at the last second, and the boost is going to send you in the opposite direction that you're facing.
Yeah, you use that to save time instead of losing time when you bounce off those. That's all right. RBR, is he going to? Yes, he is. All right.
He's going for the super jump roll. These are
super jump roll is pretty weird. You have to roll and then jump in a very specific spot so that you don't on the armadillo. Oh, and he missed it.
No, and he dies.
So the weird thing about this super jump roll is that it's not frame perfect. You actually have quite a few frames in order to. Sorry, quite a few frames that let you start the super jump roll, but the setup is considerably harder than any super jump roll.
Yeah, the setup is. I've heard when it first came out, a lot of the runners said that it was. It's really hard and not RTA possible, but I'm hearing now more that it's only 6 frames that you have to hit the frames.
The setup is a lot of work's been put into the setup, so it's actually really consistent now. It's still hard, but it's a lot easier than it used to be. It used to be considered impossible, but now, like, anyone could do it. No, Sui is not doing 3. Gasu is doing 3. Oh yeah, the frame window for RBR is very heavily debated. It's not 1. It is definitely not 1. That's for sure.
Oh, we're heading on to World 5 now, which is where we're going to start seeing some more frame-perfect tricks and jump rolls.
Yeah, there's already a new SJR on this stage, and there's 2 ways you can set up this SJR. Oh, you missed it, which is unfortunate.
Darn.
There's 2 ways you can set up that super jump roll. Either you can jump into the fire, or you could roll into it. Now, rolling into the fire always gets you, you always get in the same spot, but you're... No, I'm serious, Nathan, come on. But the actual place you need to land for when you go back after you get hit, that's more... Or you could jump into the fire, which is... The position you land in is less consistent, but you have a much bigger window when you go back. So it's basically a reference, really.
Making that last section look incredibly easy. I assure you, it's not that easy.
It's really hard.
So here's the hardest level in the game to optimize.
Yeah, there has been so much work put into optimizing Trick Track Trek. Even though it's only 10 seconds long, people have tried effortlessly to get that level under 10 seconds.
Here we have a deceptively hard level. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the elevators in this level are on global timers, right?
Did I just say effortlessly? Whoops. No, they're not on global timers. They're on they start going when they're spawned.
When they're spawned? Okay.
Yeah.
He's taking his time getting into the second bonus warp there. So there's a second bonus warp we were talking about.
Yeah, that one takes you over the
little crawl spaces there.
Yeah.
Here are the elevators I was talking about.
Yeah.
He is going to be manipulating them and moving the camera around.
Ooh,
so they spawn
nice save.
Ways. Very nice save. It's
That's
hard to do
hard
this as Donkey, especially as Donkey.
Does that work? Oh my god, you can do that with Donkey.
Wow. So that sort of roll and jump back that he did there was to spawn the elevators in such a way that he can just roll over them like that.
Yeah.
And, roll through the clumps. Here he's going to be doing elevator skip. So the third elevator in line, he's just not even going to take it. There he goes. And he's out.
All right. Pleasant Pond is the hardest water level.
It is the hardest level. I find it's hard because I can't see anything that's going on. The mist really doesn't help. Other than the fact that, especially if you're not consistent or comfortable with the fish, like what Juan is doing, he's not mashing to make the fish go like that. Some runners just tap the button, time perfectly.
Yeah, timing your inputs is faster than just mashing the button. And triple mincer clip, nice. So what he did there, he used the invincibility that lunging with a fish gives you, and he used it to skip having to wait for the mincers and going in that circle there.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot easier to control the fish if you mash it in DKC 2 or 3. Yeah. So here we have the first jump roll of the game coming up. Here, this level always confuses people who have never seen the run before. Joe can probably explain it better than I can, but basically rolling through the air.
Oh wow, he got the jump roll. The jump roll is a frame-perfect trick. When you roll on the same frame that you jump on... I'm so sick of explaining this. If you roll on the same frame, you jump as an enemy, this happens.
Now we're going to be doing it in the run 2 more times, I believe, in Tanked Up Trouble and Platform Perils.
Yes.
Doing that jump roll as opposed to rolling in the air like that saves only 4 seconds.
Yeah, it's only 4 seconds in this level. Not much, but later it's way more.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's coming towards the end of it right now. Rolling right along into Blackout Basement, or as he's called, Bob.
Bob, the hardest level in the game.
Hardest level in the game. I always say that this level would be a lot easier if they just stopped turning the lights off.
I don't think so. I don't think the difficulty's in the lights at all. I think it's like, I don't know. It's just it's a pretty jank level, honestly.
It feels a little awkward, but the lights turning on and off definitely don't help.
No, definitely not.
We're gonna have more fun with lights in World 6.
Oh yeah, those lights aren't as nowhere near as bad.
So that was a good Bob.
It was Omega would be harder in the light. I don't see why it would be harder.
So here's Boss Dum Drum, basically the auto-scroller of bosses. He's just gonna keep throwing enemies at you and slamming on the ground until a point where Diddy can't jump on them anymore. And we're gonna be swapping to Donkey right there, because Diddy can't jump on the clumps and the armadillos in one fell hit.
And Donkey's celebration is shorter, about 20 frames-ish.
And he gets a slap slide as well.
Just one slap slide?
Just one so far. Just one so far.
You don't get at least 11 in a Dum Drum fight. You might as well just reset.
So here's a level that's going to decide it all. This is Tanked Up Trouble, or Tut. I'm not sure if he's going to be going for Krem Tut, which is doing the jump roll off of Kremling, or Bird Tut, which is doing the jump roll off of Bird. Bird Tut's the backup usually to Krem Tut, but some runners prefer to just do Bird Tut and forget about Krem Tut.
A lot of people just opt out of Krem Tut, yeah, because it's incredibly risky.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement involved after you get it, which is a lot more finicky than getting the Bird Tut movement.
Actually doing the wiggle is harder than hitting the frame.
Yeah.
Alright, he's opting out of Krem Tut.
I don't blame him.
Very understandable.
Are you setting up for Bird Tut?
That's an interesting setup.
Yeah.
It was early.
A little too early. So you know that if you're early or late, if you roll through the enemy, when you tap Y, then your setup, then yeah, you were a little early. But if you just bounce off the enemy when you run into him, then your setup was fine, but your input was late.
Yeah.
So you can see why doing the jump roll saves so much time, as opposed to playing through this auto scroller. What does Bird Tut save? 40 almost.
Bird Tut saves 42. I don't know. It changes every day.
It changes every day.
It's low 40 something.
But it's fairly mandatory if you're going for a top time. Peachy, thank you. I knew someone would correct me.
Alright, it's 42 today.
It's 42 today. Is he going under the double B stack? No, I don't blame him.
No, that strat isn't really risky. It doesn't even save anything.
Technically, you can duck, crouch underneath that double B stack there, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think it has to do with the way that the Bs bob up and down in the hitboxes.
I never thought about it that way. Maybe
Well, that's the reason why the headbutt doesn't work sometimes in PCP and DKC too.
Oh, really?
Here's Panic Mincers, yeah. We're going to be using, actually using the Rhino for once. It's very unintuitive.
He's awful in this game.
Yeah. He's, there's natural input delay when you're on the Rhino, and he moves like he's on ice. We're basically using him to do 1 damage boost a little later and skip Cycle of Mincers. Oh, that's not that one.
Yeah.
Here is where we would be doing the damage boost. But there are 3 ways that you can play this level, depending on which category you're playing. In the 80% route, you do you play through it with the bird Espresso because you run warp from Orangutan Gang, and then you can play with the Rhino or you can play with just monkeys. Now he's setting himself up now for another super jump roll.
Ooh.
And he nails it.
Snake. Right, so he did some extra stuff after he got the SJR, which allowed him to go through 3 of the snakes instead of just 2. So if you tap the button instead of holding it after you get the SJR, you can do an extendo off of the second snake, which keeps you low enough in order to hit the third snake as he's coming out of the cylinder. No, he has a 31 summer best, actually.
Is it a 31 now? My goodness.
Yeah, it's a 31.
So here's Loopy Lights. Another level where they just turn the lights off on you. There's not really a whole lot going on in this level aside from...
Ooh, American roll.
American. Aside from just avoiding all the enemies that you can and timing your jumps in such a way. But this is definitely one of the more fun levels to play, I think.
Oh yeah, it's like the most fun level in the game, honestly. Tons of fun. Ooh, he goes for that. Ooh.
Spooky.
Yeah, one does do IL splits.
That Claptrap's a troll. Alright, so here we are on the last level of the game, Platform Perils. If you want to hit a jump roll, this is the jump roll you really want to hit.
This level is like either average difficulty or impossible difficulty, depending on whether you hit the frame or not.
If he hits this frame or not, it's going to depend whether he gets a 35 or a 36. Leppy set up, and he was early. Unfortunate.
Interesting that he's Leppy set up.
A lot of the runners I find do Leppy set up, as opposed to just
the backup.
And he gets it.
Whoa! He got the backup.
Nice. Well, we were certainly brought into a nice treat from Wand here. The rarely seen Perils backup. I haven't seen that in a long time, personally. I don't know if any of the other runners in chat have. But you do have to do a little bit of extra movement to avoid the B right there. And just roll off, and there you go.
Alright, and now the rest of the game is inconceivably free.
So here's Neki 2. A bit more cycle-based. Because we have to wait for him to shoot nuts depending on which cycle he's on. Obviously, the lower spawns are going to make the fight go a little quicker. But at this point, like Joe said, it's pretty free for the rest of the game.
Yeah. She's actually doing the optimal hit strat, which is really tight.
So it looks like we're looking at a low 36, high 35?
It's 33.
It was 33, 30 something when he hit...
high 35, then.
35, 35?
No, high 35.
High 35. So here's the K. Rool fight for DKC1. It's very, very free. Just jump over him. The only way to speed it up, you can be Donkey. I guess it would go faster, right? Because the his fanfare is a lot shorter.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we're just looking to hit him as soon as he takes his crown off. That was a little bit late, but usually it's around, what, 223 for the K. Rool split?
223 is a good split, yeah.
Yeah. One more of these cycles to go through, and then we're going to hit up our... that it should be the end of the run for Wand here. After this jump. So he's way underestimated from what we thought he was going to get. Like a low 35 at this point. So there it is. Nice run, Wand. You We'll just enjoy these credits here.
Yeah. It's over. He got a 34.
Yep.
It's incredible. Why aren't they switching games?
I don't know. Well, we have to wait for Cranky to stop, right?
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's Japanese, so they're doing credits time or something. I don't.
So there's the credits.
Timing difference.
Nice run. Did a really good job.
Yeah.
Wait. What?
Oh,
Oh, he's back.
I've never seen this.
Run, Juan, run! Yeah, okay, we debated you. It's not actually the end of the run. He's got 2 more of these cycles to go, and then it'll be the end of the run.
That's the real end, yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, very, very nice run from Wand for his first marathon setting. One of the definitely one of the better up-and-comer Donkey Kong Country runners.
35, 50 something.
Yeah, it's a nice run, Wand. Very nice run.
Up
next on the plate, we have LZ, who will be running DKC2. Fun fact about LZ, he's only the 3rd person in the world to ever gotten a 39 time on DKC2. And he owns 2 of them.
Yeah, that's true. He does.
LZ, I think, is one of the only other players actively running the game right now that can challenge for world record in the 90% category. He's had quite a few runs where he's been on world record pace, but to play at such a high level, it's hard. I don't know how Void does it. So I'm sure we'll see a very, very nice run from LZ. The basic rundown of the difference, or they're actually playing through the credits, I guess. So that's why the estimate's so high. But the basic rundown for DKC2 is for the first 2 worlds, we're going to be utilizing developer-intended warp barrels. And a couple wrong warps in... I think there are 8 wrong warps altogether. Mainbrace, Topsail, Hothead, Crackhead, Brambler, Mudhole, and CLC. Yeah.
I learned that from watching the TV show.
The TV show? Nice. Alright, and LZ is starting his run right now, so good luck to him. The first thing we're going to do is grab our girlfriend, Dixie here, throw her into the barrel.
Alright, I can't wait for you to just talk about everything, because you know more about this game than like, there's no point in me saying anything.
Well, this is the first wrong warp of the game he's going to attempt. This one only saves 4 seconds over doing the regular warp barrel. But he's going to clash these 2 beetles together, create an invisible object. And he's going to use that to manipulate where that barrel shoots him out. The game doesn't really know where to put him, so it puts him on the world map and flags the level as complete. Interesting thing about the wrong warps, though, is that if you were to complete one in a level and then re-enter it, you cannot start select out of the level. So here's a trick we call Luckjaw. He's going to try to get into the barrel through that chasm. It's pretty much luck-based. We say it's luck-based anyway, because if you're rolling off a cliff and you touch a wall, you lose the ability to move left and right. So it's a very quick wiggle going in between there. As you can see, this game is a lot more fast-paced than DKC1, at least for the first little bit. Like here, he's doing another wrong warp. We'll go over Snake Tech a little bit later on in World 3 and 6, where it's a little more relevant. But here's the biggest RNG point in the game. This is our boy Crow. The first 2 eggs he's going to throw at you will always be real, but every egg after that has a 50-50 chance of being real or fake. A fakeless Crow is obviously preferred, which he's on pace for right now. And he gets it. Fakeless Crow. Crow letting the marathon go on. Thank you so much. So World 2 coming into another wrong warp in first level here. Does a little wiggle to manipulate where that barrel is going to run at you. And goes for the 2-1 jump again. A 2-1 jump, which he kind of got a little bit of a higher jump there, is teaming up and jumping exactly 3 frames apart, I believe. You press... That's probably the best way I can explain it, without going into too much detail. But it gives you a little bit of an extra boost. That trick that you saw him do a little earlier there is called the Big Boy, or a team throw double jump, where you jump right as your partner comes back to you. Now, the fanfare on this level is probably the only time throughout the run that you actually get a break to drink your drink or whatever. Check Twitter, see who else is streaming, before you sit down for the next 39 minutes, 40 minutes. And breaks over. So yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on in the first 2 worlds aside from wrong warps and developer-intended warp barrels. It's going by very quickly, but the pace does slow down a little bit in when World 3 starts and World 4 starts. The run gets a lot more technical, and no more developer-intended warp barrels, so we have to actually play the video game. He's coming on to the second boss fight now, which is Cleaver, giant sword in the lava. He's, I guess, the second biggest, maybe the second or the third biggest source of RNG throughout the DKC2. It's only about 2 or 3 seconds of variance as to where the cannonballs will spawn. Like, that's good RNG, because he could just pick it up and go right towards him. And he's probably going to be attempting what's called the lava fly, which is going to throw himself on top of that cave there and see if he can clear that giant chasm of lava. Looks pretty good so far. And, oh no, he was a little too low.
It's pretty difficult to hit double frame perfect tricks, though.
That's unfortunate. He was a little bit low. So that's a good almost 30-40 seconds gone. Yeah, we shout outs to Twig on that one. An old runner of the game, made famous by a failing lava fly. So he's going to try it again. For new runners of the game, I wouldn't recommend learning this trick very much. It doesn't... No! Someone take the controller from Twig, please.
Did he fail again?
Yeah. Unfortunate, but it is very impossible. LZ cannot be happy right now. That setup looks a little bit better. Yeah, that's much better. Nails it.
There we go.
It only saves about 4 seconds, as opposed to just waiting for Cleaver to respawn. So, new runners, I would definitely not recommend going for it. And it gets Flying Diddy for the fans. Basically, if you pick up the cannonball and hit Cleaver on the same frame you jump, you'll get Diddy to stay in the air like that. And we call that Flying Diddy. It's good luck. So here's where the game really starts to pick up. You got Barrel Bayou, 3-1. The way that this game usually works is that if you get stuck in World 1 and World 2 for an hour and a bit, the first run you get past World 2 to World 3 will die on this level. So here's hoping for no 3-1 curse. The Rhino in this game is infinitely more useful than the Rhino in DKC1 because he can charge and he's a little bit easier to control. He opts to, oh geez, takes a little damage off the cloak there, but thank goodness it's a DK barrel right there. And here he's throwing Dixie into the opposite barrel, which is going to store what's called a super jump. So the next time he takes damage, which is going to be off this cloak right here, Dixie is going to be thrown upwards. And by repressing Y at a certain time, you can clear this giant chasm. And go about your merry way. Coming into another water level in the trilogy. This is Glimmers Galleon. Same concept as the others that we talked about, is just don't touch any corners. Or sorry, cut the corners as hard as you can. And don't bonk or anything. It's definitely a lot harder than it looks. And it's probably one of the more difficult levels to optimize. But he's doing a pretty good job so far. While Diddy is faster, technically, in this level, we choose to use Dixie so that we can perform a goal swap at the end. Affectionately called the Kipple swap.
Rest in peace, Kibbles.
He's not dead, he's just sleeping. He'll be back.
He's hibernating.
Yeah, exactly, he's hibernating, even though it's summer in Australia right now. He's having a pretty good time in this level, it looks like. Doesn't look like he's letting what happened in Cleaver not affect him too much. Yeah, it was pretty good Glimmers. Much better than mine. And there's the Kipple swap. So we're coming on to another wrong warp in the game. This is the most recently discovered one. Crockhead Clamber. It's also the most unique in the sense that you don't, it's not traditional where you're clashing beetles or creating invisible objects. You're basically manipulating the way the Cutlass moves and his ID when you're shooting out of a barrel, which we'll see right here. I'll just let LZ do his thing. And that's Crackhead. So moving on to Rattle Battle now, we get to feature the snake, Rattly the snake. Rattly is a unique animal, buddy, in the sense that his hitbox is a little bit different. It's hard to gauge and judge whether or not you're going to take damage off a hit, or whether you're just going to bounce off the guy. In this level, it is absolutely faster to stay in the air as much as possible, as opposed to just jumping on the bottom, or just like your short hops staying on the ground. Like, as you can see in that last hit, he just jumped on the Kremling's chest, and it still killed him. Pretty typical Rattle Battle so far. Not much going on here. To the last couple hard jumps here. And we're out of there. He's got a goal swap here so that Dixie's in front for another wrong warp on Slime Climb. This one's going to start with swapping in water, which is going to store another super jump. So when Diddy takes damage on these beetles right here, Dixie is going to get flown upwards, skipping a giant part of the level. From here, it's climbing pretty particularly, creating another invisible object with these beetles, matching IDs, and throwing right about here, and he nails it. And moving on to Bramble Blast. In this level, the biggest tech is utilizing what we call quick shots. When you land in a barrel, you have 3 frames to push the trigger button again, and it gets shot out of the same direction that the barrel is facing. It saves time, and it adds up. Missing one of these quick shots and having to redo a cycle is pretty devastating. So here he's taking damage intentionally so he could skip a little portion of the maze there. And it puts Diddy in front for the upcoming trick, which is called Vine Clip. It's dubbed the easiest trick in the game. ironically. He's basically going to be doing another big boy or a team throw double jump off this clamp on right here. And of course he nails it. Which allows you to get enough height where you can situate yourself in the vine where when you throw, you're just, you could just clip right through the vine. So here's the boss Dumb Drum of DKC2. This is Cudgel. Very, very cycle-based. The only way you can make this fight go any quicker is doing what you're going to see LZ doing. Standing in a very particular spot, counting cycles so that when Cudgel lands, you can hit him on the first frame that he lands. If you're doing that, as opposed to just standing in one spot and throwing the barrels as he lands, it saves about 2 seconds. So it's not really imperative for new runners to learn. I don't do it. I don't. I think there's many other places in the game where you can save 2 seconds. That's easier to do than this. So that was a pretty good World 3 for LZ here. Clean rattle battle, clean slime climb, no miss quick shots. Glimmers was pretty good. And looks like he's got one more hit to go, I think. My cycles are correct.
They made this fight way too long.
Way too long. I think Nintendo's first mistake was making this fight in the first place.
Well, Nintendo didn't make this game.
I guess you're right. And we're out of World 3. World 4 is probably the hardest world in the game. We're going to start off with an extremely technical level where movement...
No, he didn't. Unfortunate.
He didn't what?
He didn't do your jump.
Yeah, he didn't do the dustpan jump, unfortunately. You can skip that first puddle of honey by jumping clean over it. But, some runners prefer to do it, some runners don't. It's debated whether or not it actually saves time. But the biggest tech that you should be going for in this level anyway is jumping off the honey as fast as possible and as efficient as possible. So for some reason they give you the spider in this level. Call him Shoes. And if you dismount him under a hook and then land on the hook at the same time that you land on him, you can manipulate the camera in such a way where it just scrolls you forward. We call that the scrolly scroll. I know. And then from the rest of the level, it's just making sure that your jumps are properly timed on the honey so that you're not getting stuck on there too much. That was a pretty good hornet hole. So we have technical level plus an auto scroller coming up right here. Then another technical level right afterwards with a wrong warp. And another auto scroller. And then another technical level. And then another technical level. So World 4 is very, very stressful. There's not really a whole lot you can do in this level to speed up the auto scroller aside from jumping from the cart to the next cart as early as you can. Over the course of the level, if you do all those optimal jumps, you'll save about a second or two. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not he goes for what we call the swag balloon. The very last gate, in between the last two gates, actually, there's an X barrel with a banana and an invisible barrel over, an invisible one-up balloon over it, which we call the swag balloon. If you get it and you don't touch the barrel, then it's no time lost, no time gained, and you get an extra life, so it's swag. But if you miss it and you accidentally touch the barrel and the door in front of you closes, well, that's a little bit of a time loss, and you have to swap because you want to be Diddy in front for a Bramble Scramble for the wrong warp. It's a catch-22, so either you earn the respect of your peers by doing Swag Balloon, or you choose to finish your run. No, I always choose the latter. The community is fairly divided onto whether or not to go for it, and LZ makes a statement. As you can see, he looked relieved. Looked like he wasn't going to get it. It's very stressful. And we're coming on to one of the harder wrong warps in the game. This one was the second newest one that was discovered. It also involves a unique way of making an invisible object with Dixie.
Shout out to the corner.
He does the corner. Shout outs to the corner. Nice job. Here's another auto-scroller. The only way to speed up this level is... Yeah, this fight.
Well, you are... Oh.
Oh, no! Rickety wrecked. Yeah, see, if you try to optimize it too much, then you're just going to miss jumping on the guy and you're going to fall to your death. But the only way that it can go any quicker is if you kill the guys any faster.
God.
He does it again. Poor LZ. Yeah, killing your racers as fast as possible is the only way to speed this up.
Swear to God. Okay.
Alright. It saves probably a frame to do what he was trying to do. But you're mainly trying to jump on the back of the carts. On the back of the skulls there. Also in this level, it is a little bit quicker to jump down large slopes as opposed to jumping up, because your momentum is preserved as you when you're jumping down as opposed to jumping up. And we're out. As long as he remembers to swap, which I never remember to do, which is why I swapped in the beginning. And we're coming on to probably the most technical and hardest level in the run so far. This is Mudhole Marsh. We have very tight technical platforming, rolling under platforms and avoiding the death barrier, culminating with a very, very tricky, finicky wrong warp. I'm not sure if he does the faster setup for the wrong warp or if he does the old setup. But like that eagle pit right there is very tricky. Opts to not roll under midway. I don't blame him, especially in a marathon setting. He does the moonwalk to manipulate the way the barrel spawns so that he doesn't have to wait. It's like he's doing the old setup. So same as most other run warps, we're going to clash these two beetles to create an invisible object, find an exit, and move on. Finally, the last level in World 4. Ramby Rumble. More technical honey climbing. With a, I guess you could call that a damage boost, super jump. Having a pretty easy time in this level. Ooh, that was close. He almost jumped on the scissors guy. And we get to be our Ramby friend again. So this last section is deceptively hard. You charge and jump at the same time. As we have King Zing chasing you. We're going to do a little bit of a double jump at the end here to skip that barrel and save a little time. And we're moving on to the boss fight. King Zing Sting. Don't sleep on the king. He has a very small hitbox. That's his stinger. That's flashing red and white on the bottom as the bird, and then you're going to avoid the spikes, reset the cycle, do it again. Pretty typical. You can. Then he's going to spawn a bunch of bees around him, but you can, if you're swift enough, you can skip him loading all those bees around him by hitting him on the same frame as they spawn. And doing that, you're going to skip a cycle. Instead of having to hit him 3 times, you'll hit him twice. Call that 2 cycle. A few people have gotten it. There is a setup, but it's not consistent for some people. So World 5 now, probably the most pure world so far. There are 2 wrong warps, 3 I guess technically now, that you could do, but they're not RTA viable just yet. The task does them. Well, it does 2 of them. And he does the swag moonwalk. Thank you for that. So yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on this level. You're just rolling under ropes, jumping on enemies, trying not to stay on the ropes for too long. And, there's a little section right there where that cloak was, which can be a little bit tricky. If you can clip through that rope if you try to grab it from the front. Here's the last... No, not the last auto-scroller. What am I thinking? It's the penultimate auto-scroller. This is Haunted Hall, or Tupac's Library, as we call it, because that guy sort of reminds us of Tupac. You're going to want to hit the green plus barrels to increase your timer. And you're going to not want to hit the red barrels, which is going to decrease your timer. For the casual player, anyway. We don't really care, because we're pretty fast. We're going to get there either way. But as with most of these cart levels, it is faster to jump up and down some of these slopes. The task route saves about 2 or 3 seconds over a casual just hitting all the barrels. You're going to want to jump through the gates at the peak of your jump. Will preserve a little bit of your momentum. But it's an auto-scroller. There's not really a whole lot to go off of here. It's a nice little break in between the hard times I was World 4 and the hard times that you're going to come up to here at the end of World 5. That B right there is the only difference between running on the J version, the Japanese version, and running on the North American version. In the North American version, there are 2 Bs that you have to jump over in that little spot. That's literally it. Before the Bramble Scramble Wrong Warp was discovered, you would run the game on the Japanese version, because there's also less Bs in the final gauntlet there. But now that we just Wrong Warp out of that level, it doesn't really matter. Him getting out of there pretty quickly. We're going to Gusty Glade, where we're going to see some wind. It's going to blow him from the left, or it's going to blow him from the right. It's all about manipulating yourself so you're in a good position to catch the wind. So you can send your jumps a little further. It's a pretty nice, relaxing level. Get you nice and calm before the stress from PCP and Webwoods. He sort of waits on those hooks to let the wind sort of roll out there. And team throws into that barrel to set up skipping a cycle of wind and so that he can goal swap. Guess a DK coin for us, thank you. So we can goal swap right there. And move on to PCP, which is probably the most impressive level to watch as a casual. You're supposed to be taking the purple parrots down, but they take too long, so we're just going to skip them. We'll just sit back and watch his mastery Grabs midpoint parrot. I guess he forgot to roll off the edge there. See his 1D. Very good. Oh, no, not very good. I spoke too soon. But it's okay. There are many backups that you can do. Set your Kong order right again. Here, we're going to pray he hits the headbutt, and he does. There are times where you'll take that damage as Dixie, and instead of bonking on the corner there, you'll miss it, and you'll run out of iframes, invincibility frames. So here's a legendary Webwoods, home of the Webwoods Infinite. There's a lot going on in this level. But we're going to be using the spider's tech of creating instant platforms by pushing both of the shoulder buttons at the same time. The trick to this is that there's a lot of cooldown, or there's a little bit of cooldown in between making those platforms, so you can't just jump and create platforms as much as you want, unfortunately. So it requires a lot of timing. Precise damage boost and stuff. Does the 3 jump strat there, which I don't blame him. Going pretty well so far. Check this Eagle Pit setup. Looks good. Oh, that was close. The final up in 4, 3, 4, set up for the Leap of Faith, and we're out of there. So very, very well done, LZ. What a pro. Victory indeed. So here's another source of RNG in the game. He's back. It's our boy Crow. So he's going to throw these ghost crows at us. But we're going to want to jump on the ones that are real. They're going to spawn a barrel that we're going to throw at him. And then jump up these ropes as best as we can without taking damage. Hopefully. This fight is a little bit trickier as Dixie, because she doesn't climb as well as Diddy. And we get a left spawn. It's RNG as to which side those barrels will spawn. Oh no! Threw the barrel over him, unfortunately. Yeah, left spawn runs over, pretty much. But it's okay, he's gonna try again. With all the stuff that has gone wrong here, he's probably still gonna beat my PB. Looks like he got caught on the rope there on that right side, which is what got him the last time. So let's pray for a not left spawn. And we get a left spawn. Typical Crow. So this set of ropes is the more difficult ones because you got eggs coming at you from both sides. Two, 3, there we go. Mid spawn. Crow was not nice to us that time, fortunately, but we'll bring it back in World 6, which is probably one of the harder worlds. We got Arctic Abyss right out of the gate, where we get to be our friend the fish. The fish in this game, it's definitely a contrast between DKC1 and DKC3. It's more like the DKC3 fish in the sense that you can charge and keep mashing Y to go forward faster. But the hitbox is completely different. Like, as you can see, the top of his fin while he was charging there hit the pufferfish, and the pufferfish died. It's hard to explain, but you just have to practice this level over and over and over and over again. Here he's going to do a dash cancel. And set himself up for Diddy Windy, yep. So one of the newer discoveries in this game is Diddy Windy, where you're going to throw Dixie beyond the camera and set yourself up in a way. Let's see what happens. You can good. So, oh, looks good. That's only half the trick. There's another little part involving a damage boost. But Windy Well, the gimmick is that the wind is blowing from the bottom. And it's going to shoot you upwards. There's that damage boost we were talking about. You can enter the stage as Dixie and do it normally, but the Diddy route saves about 2 to 3 seconds. That's an interesting way to do that. Taking damage there will throw Diddy upwards, allowing you to skip that section on the right. Interesting fact: if you plan on running this game on the American 1.0 version, you cannot do that skip. The camera will lock, and you will soft lock yourself until you die. But it works on the Japanese 1.0. Skipping those 2 Bs there is what we call the Ghetto B skip. So he's doing pretty well so far in this World 6. And he's out of there. So we're coming on to the longest level in the game. This is Castle Crush. The source, so much debate, so much drama, especially in the Warpless community. This level is a 5-minute long auto-scroller. But we're going to be taking a barrel right there, about 3/4 of the way up, or 2/3 of the way up, I guess, and creating an invisible object with that to summon the goal down to us, because we don't want to go all the way up to the goal. So it's absolutely imperative that LZ keeps that barrel that he's holding intact, and that he doesn't lose a monkey. This is easily the best way to kill a run, or the easiest way to kill a run, is just by being careless and dropping the barrel somewhere, or a controller incident. Some players prefer to keep holding on to the barrel because it creates less lag. Some people prefer to put the barrel down, make it a little safer, but you'll get a little bit of lag in some certain places. And LZ's doing fine so far. It's not hard to do the trick, it's just, it's a stressful part in the run, because it could go wrong. So here he's going to position himself on the left wall, put the barrel down and pick it up, take damage, and all of a sudden the goal is right there. So there's Castle Crush. We got Clapper's Cavern here. The gimmick here is when you jump on the seal, Clappers, he turns the water into ice, and we're able to run on it. I'd call this one of the easier levels in World 6. It's a lot of fun. Little cameo here from the fish for about 10 seconds. Okay, bye fish. So here we're going to be setting ourselves up so that we can throw Dixie into that invincibility barrel. Just leave her there, but she'll come back. There she is. And then is rolling through all the rest of the enemies in the game, coming on to the last wrong warp in the game, Chainlink Chamber. This one can be finicky depending on how you set it up. Because it involves clashing with a clobber as opposed to 2 beetles, so it's a little more difficult. Looks like his fall was fine, baiting the clobber over here, creating the invisible object, grabbing the ID of the cannon, and off we go. So here we get to see the snake shine in Toxic Tower. He's going to be doing a bunch of tech called short hops and true double jumps. So those little ones that he's doing, holding A and pressing B, is just to get from the lower platforms up there, but here he's going to do an Omega true double jump, which makes you jump even higher. Take a little damage boost there. Another couple short hops, TDJ, and we're out. that was a really good snake section. We got to be the bird now, which is a little more stressful. Because there's certain lag management things that you can do here, lag reduction. Specifically in this part, so hopefully he nails it. Taking it a little slow, I don't blame him. Skips that last bee very cautiously. We get to be the spider for 3 platforms. Or 4. And we're out of World 6. That was a pretty good World 6. Nice job, LZ. So we hear Donkey calling us. Alright, we got him. And then we get baited. Donkey's gone again, so we gotta go up to the, we gotta go up to what we call the Flying Croc. For one more level in the Brambles as the bird, and the final boss fight. I think we might see a jump attempt here. Yep. No, it took damage on the ropes, which is the hardest part of the jump. I think it's going for it again. Doing a little moonwalk there to manipulate how the cat spawns so you don't get hit. And does a pretty good jump with 3 U's. Reminder to everyone who it's JUUUMP for the jump. I see people putting way too many U's in there, and it's just not acceptable. And nice race skip going on there to basically you try to manipulate the camera in such a way so that you don't trigger the race between yourself and that blackbird. Screech. Squeezing through the little platforms, or the little crevices here. Ooh, tight little B-ring skip there. And we're out of there. Even with the fanfare skip. So at this point, it's sort of a glorified cutscene. This is long as you make sure that you throw the cannons into the gun and not miss any cycles, then this is going to be a very easy boss fight. But he's going to shoot the balls at you. You have to shoot them back at him while he's sucking in air from his blunderbuss. There's another little instance of RNG, which we'll see later on. I believe it's this cycle here. And there's not really a lot of time that you're going to save or waste. It all depends on which one of those cannonballs loses its spikes first. Yeah, this fight has been dubbed a glorified auto-scroller, more so than the DKC 1 fight. Challenging final boss, though, is in DKC 3. After this cycle, we'll get a little bit of a cutscene, and then we'll see... oh no, we have one more cycle after this one. And then we'll get a cutscene, and then we'll start getting ready for the last phase. But overall, a fairly nice run, aside from the hiccups in World 2 and in Rickety Race. Unfortunately, I haven't been paying attention to the timer, so I don't know what kind of pace he's on, but I think he's on 42 pace, at least 42. High 42, maybe? Someone with better math knowledge than me can confirm or deny that. So we're coming up on the third and final phase of the fight, where he's going to shoot these colored clouds at you. This one's pretty easy to avoid. If you get hit on the end there, you're not going to lose too much time. But if you get hit in the middle, he waits a good 3 or 4 seconds before going forward. And that's for all the phases hereafter. The red ones are going to slow you down to half speed. And then these purple flavored ones are going to reverse your controls. So those are the ones you really don't want to hit. Especially during the last sequence here where he's going to be sucking in air from his gun and sucking you in with him. But there's a pretty good setup that LZ is showing right now to avoid it. As Diddy, you can just hold left and run, and you're not going to get sucked in. But as Dixie, you kind of have to manipulate where K. Rool spawns, because Dixie doesn't run as fast. And there's the last throw. We gotta wait for him to shoot it back out, and that's GG for LZ. Very nice run. Now they're going to get set up for DKC3, which is going to be run by Gasu.
Objectively the best game.
Objectively the best game. Much like DKC2, we're going to see a lot of developer-intended warp barrels in World 1 and World 2. There are no wrong warps yet. There is one that you can do in what's the name of it? Rocket Rush, I guess, in the Lost World. If you enter it in a certain way, you can it shoots you back to Doorstop Dash, I think. Or Wheels on Wheels. I don't remember which one.
Some glitched version of Doorstop Dash.
Yeah, where none of the sprites work and the background's all messy.
Like creepypasta tier.
Yeah.
It looks right out of creepypasta.
I'm waiting for the creepypasta. Are you gonna get on that, or?
I can't write for shit.
Come on. So it looks like Suzuri's stepping up to the mic for commentating DKC3 with Gasu on the left. We're going to wait till Cranky stops talking and then switch games. We're in the home stretch, folks.
Oh yeah, I'm still there. I just muted my mic for most of DKC2 because there was no point in me commentating it.
I can't wait for your wealth of knowledge for DKC3.
Oh yeah, I know everything there is to know about this game.
How far do you know up to it? You learned Burn Your Rope, right?
I quit on Burn Your Rope, yeah.
Oh, okay. Burn Your Rope is a level... It's not the name of the level. I forget what it's actually called. Confused Cliffs? Crisscross Cliffs?
No, Crisscross Cliffs is from...
That's the Lost World one?
Yeah, FGB... No, it's... Wait, no, yeah, maybe that's the Lost World one. There's one GBA too. That... Man, hold up.
And yeah, DNA actually has a point here in chat. The only commentary you need is to press start. With that snowman right there, Bleak. I'll go over the frame perfect trick, I guess. So in World 5, the boss, Bleak, is a snowman. This game is unique, or the Japanese version is unique anyway, because you can pause in a boss fight. In the U version, you can't do that. And if you press start on the exact same frame that an event happens in the game, like, oh geez, it's an audio cue that we use because there's no real visual cue. If you listen to the death jingle, when you die, it goes do 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 do. On that last do is when you have to press start, and it's frame perfect.
And you'll jumped right into the run.
Yeah, I went right in there.
Wasting no time at all.
I don't blame him. This is a tough game. It's easy to pick up, but it's very hard to optimize. So here we're going to see our boy Kitty Kong. He's big, and he can throw Dixie, his cousin. And if you throw Kitty and he lands on the ground, he breaks whatever platform he's on.
Oh, that's useful like a grand total of one time.
Yeah, once. Exactly once. In that level, in 103, and I believe that's it. I think.
Yeah. They programmed that whole interaction for one single bonus.
So as I said, like the other, like DKC2, we're just looking at World 1 and 2 are just getting into the developer-intended warp barrels. So the first 5 minutes of this run or so are just warp barrels, and then the next 10 minutes are auto-scrollers. So it definitely can get a little tiring for runners who play this game a lot.
Yeah, kind of a slow start to this game.
Yeah, very slow start. You're looking at least 15 minutes before the game really picks up.
Well, not 15 minutes, but...
Well, it's about 15 minutes.
Once you pass the Ripsaw. Well, 15 minutes is when World 3 ends.
Well, after Ripsaw, you got Logi Labyrinth. It's pretty much an auto-scroller.
I wouldn't say that. There's a lot that goes into that level.
There's a lot, yeah, but it's just very slow-paced, so it's hard to keep focus, I guess.
It's slow, yeah. Really slow.
So throughout all this arguing, we're almost done World 1 now. Coming on to the first boss fight, Belcha. He's gonna shoot barrels out of his mouth, which contain bugs. And then we're gonna throw the bugs back in his mouth, and he's gonna burp, and the recoil is gonna send him off the stage. So let's see how this goes. In the American version, if you try to do this fight a little too fast, you will soft lock. It's quite funny, actually. His teeth will just fly right out of his mouth, and you'll be stuck there forever.
Well, I'm pretty sure you can still fight him even if you get the soft lock.
But he doesn't spawn barrels anymore, doesn't he? Like his teeth just get shot out. And then...
Yeah. Well, you can't... He can still die after you get the soft lock. That's not a soft lock. Like, if you haven't killed him when you get the soft lock, then you're soft lock.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah,
because I think he can still burp.
Yeah, exactly.
If he burps off the edge with his teeth flying out, I think he's still fine.
Yeah, but if that last hit didn't kill him, then you're soft lock.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're in World 2 now. This is the warp barrel that's the furthest from the beginning. We're out of there. A unique level for the Trilogy, actually, is this one because it has a built-in timer for it. In the 103% route, you want to beat the level warpless and getting all the bonuses as fast as possible in under 1 minute and 15 seconds. Because then Brash, the bearer in the top left, will open up the cave where you can get the banana bird.
Yeah, and it's really not hard to do it that fast, actually.
No, it's not. The 103 route does it. They get upset if they go over 1 minute, I believe, but you can do it in 56 seconds, if I recall correctly.
I don't know. I don't play this game enough to know.
So yeah, we're just plowing through World 2 here. Not really a whole lot to talk about. But I've already gone over Bleak. It's the last level in World 2. Coming into the spider fight, Eric. Well, this is a very, very tricky boss fight. To do optimally, anyway. Like the way that Gasu's doing it. Otherwise, you have to wait for him to like shoot his green balls at you and like dodge that stuff. And it can go wrong pretty quickly. So Eric is going to give you the patch. And we're going to use the patch to bring back the Funky. Funky is going to make us a new boat. And all the boats he makes afterwards just go downhill. So we're very lucky to have the hovercraft.
This boat is called a horseboard.
The motorboat is the horseboard.
Oh, this isn't the horseboard?
No, the horseboard is the motorboat.
Sure?
Positive. Yeah. The horseboard is motorboat. I forget what the French call.
I thought the hovercraft was a horseboard. Damn. All this time, been wrong. Could I mention it 31 times? I don't know. I don't know that much about 103.
So now we're starting to get into the actual platforming of the game. This is 3-1.
Wait, you got one platforming level, then you go to auto-scrollers.
Yeah, two auto-scrollers, and then, yeah. So this is why a lot of people have trouble picking this game up, is because the first 15 minutes or so are pretty dry. And the resets can get very tiring.
Would be a good speed game if you could skip the start, though.
Yeah, true.
Like, this game is actually really fun to run.
It's very fun, yeah. The people that run it and enjoy it really do enjoy it. But it just makes that are not as appealing to a larger audience. Yeah. It takes a lot of flack, truthfully. Here he's going to do a damage boost, which is going to shoot him up to the rope section there. Saves a little bit of time as opposed to going all the way around. Dodging the, what we call cheese balls. The cheese balls, or the fireballs, are unique in the sense that the cheese balls can damage you. No, what did Zara say to me? I think there's only about 8 frames where they can actually damage you after they bounce. Let's see here. Here we go. Cheese balls will hurt you when they're initially shot from the cannon. They'll continue to hurt you while they're falling. The frame that they hit after they hit the ground, they only have 8 more frames, and then after they bounce, you're fine. Same with all the other cheese balls that you see. So we're going to be solo Dixie through this auto scroller. I believe she reduces lag. Do any levels have cycles you have to make?
That is a bit too vague of a question.
Yeah. Like, there are certain levels in World 4, I guess. World 5, sorry. 4 and 5. Where the barrels are falling from the waterfall. And you have to jump on those. So here's another auto-scroller. This one wasn't enough. So the gimmick to this one, much like Castle Crush and DKC2, is that it's an auto-scroller going upwards, only this time you cannot touch the platform. There's not a whole lot you can do to make this go faster, aside from near the end, where you can't actually clear all the platforming and keep going up in the level, unfortunately. Like, you see how he just sometimes goes beyond the camera to jump on platforms there, but you can't do that all the way to the end. Like, there are certain spots where you have to actually wait for the flag to spawn. Another thing you can do to save 2 frames every time is don't kill any of the rats. I think it creates 1 frame of lag every time you kill a rat. Actually, I lied a little bit. There's going to be a part coming up where he's going to intentionally go faster than the camera so that he can get behind a bee and not have to waste a DK barrel spawning kitty. So right there, see him sort of go faster than the camera. Oh, it was to avoid touching a DK barrel, right? That's not the one I was thinking of. Because DK barrels that are suspended in the air, as soon as you touch them, they'll break open. But, so, you don't want that to happen. So here he is, grabbing the goalpost as early as he can. And here's 3-4, I think, 3-5, 3-4.
3-4.
Where you shoot barrels at you. You can jump on the barrels that aren't marked TNT, but not TNT barrels, or else you'll take damage. Another one where we're going to skip getting Kitty, mainly because you're coming into a section here where you need to jump into the barrel as fast as possible, and the barrels wait. The automatic shooting barrels, anyway, they'll wait until both Kitty and Dixie are in the barrel before they shoot. So it actually does save time to be solo Dixie in this level. Another little section here. Again, we'd have to wait for... you wouldn't be able to make that shot that he just did if you had Kitty with you. Coming to Logi Labyrinth.
Or like Labyrinth. Ha.
More like what?
Slow G Labyrinth.
I see what you did there. So the gimmick for this level is all this green mist makes you jump really slow. So you can jump a lot higher. It's as if you're in like low gravity or something. That was a nice little just defend he did there. Normally you're not able to roll through the crimps like that. But if you do a quick wiggle just before you hit them, you'll be able to roll through them. I'm not exactly sure why it works, but it does. See, as you saw right there, when Dixie got into the barrel, it didn't actually start shaking, and the transformation didn't actually start happening until Kitty got in there too. It's unique to this game. So this section's fairly easy. If you can line up the bird's talons to the wires in the back, you can just go straight up there. There's another little section here. Nice, you got through it pretty well. Where you have to position yourself so you go through the bees. Little spot here. I'm not sure what strat he's going to do. If he's going to do a damage boost strat, and he is. So you do a damage boost strat there to avoid having to jump in between all of the bees. Just roll right through them. So this is Chaos, made from K. Rool's wife's best pots and pans, evidently. In the Japanese version, you don't, you can't do the one cycle tech, because the Japanese version is unable to do the infinite team throwing glitch. But there, you could do like a 2-1 jump strat. Oh, and he misses hitting the top of him. That's too bad. It's going to be a bit of a time loss there. But you can do 2-1 jumps, which I went over in DKC2. Same tech applies here. To sort of manipulate yourself so that you get sandwiched between the robot and the wall, and it pushes you upwards, and you don't have to wait for him to come down like that. Or if you're interested to see what it looks like, you can check out the wiki, or you can check out Suimine's PB. He does it. He's getting same side blades, which is pretty good. Just going to avoid getting shot here. Jump on his head a few more times, and then we'll be moving on to World 4. Aside from missing that cycle there, that's otherwise a pretty good World 3. We choose to go back. I guess technically this is the fourth world in the game, but we choose to do it first, mainly for Conlorder, so that we start World 5 as Solo Dixie, and we start World 4 as Kitty, and you can swap in the water and it's quicker. So going on to quote-unquote World 4.
World 3.
Technically World 3. It's one of 3 water levels in the game. The the concept is still the same, where you're going to try to avoid touching corners as much as you can, but it's not nearly as tight as it is, like the level layouts, they're not nearly as tight as they are in DKC2 and DKC1. So it's a lot more forgiving. The water physics I find in this game are a lot more, for lack of a better term, floaty. Whereas in DKC1 and DKC2, if you were to press the swim button, it would take your Kong less time to fall back down to sink than it would for if you were doing it in this level, in this game rather. I find it takes a longer time for your monkey to sink. So you saw him sort of hugging the ceiling there so you can get an optimal corner. Little tech here and there. Getting out of there. So here's the first barrel waterfall level. Casually, when I was a kid playing this, I hated it so much. So much lag, and it's impossible to make the cycles. There's a couple damage boosts that you can take that are exclusive to the J version that differ from the U version, but for the most part, both routes are still the same. So as I said, it's very easy to pick up this game. Like, it's easy to learn, but once it comes down to optimizing it, and if you're going for a top time, it gets very, very tricky. The movement is so much different in comparison to DKC2 and DKC1.
This game's way easier to like start running, but it's at least harder than DKC1 if you want to go for a good time. At least
like on the U version or the J version, you should be able to hit, you know, somewhere around a 50 fairly quickly, or without much effort. Coming on to, this is probably my favorite level.
This is a good level, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of really cool platforming and jumping off of ropes and stuff. We do solo Dixie here because having two monkeys, especially Kitty, will cause a lot of lag. Like almost a second or two of just lag straight. So it's a pretty entertaining level. That section right there causes a lot of lag. This one does as well. No, not this one. Sorry. Hello? This one. You can already see the game chugging a little bit. Opts to do the glide over them as opposed to rolling through them. If you roll through them in such a way, you can gain enough speed where the fish won't be able to catch you. You can just stay in the water. But he's having a pretty good World 4 here, must say. So tracker barrel trek, get on there. Thank you. Tracker barrel trek. When they shoot you out of the barrel, it chases you, I guess is the best way to explain it. So you can sort of control where the barrel goes. There is certain tech that you can do here, taking damage and what we call the glide. I'm not sure if we'll get to see it here. It's usually a YOLO thing that you'll do. Yeah, there is where you would do the glide. Where you can make that chasm. You can see you taking damage there to shoot yourself into the next barrel. A little damage boost to make that gap. If I had known about these when I was a kid playing this game, definitely would have been a lot easier on me. So here's the second water level. Feed your fish. Or fish food frenzy. That little blue guy following you needs to eat fish to stay alive. Mainly the red fish and the green fish are the ones that he wants to eat. You don't want to feed him the urchins, because they'll make him sick and they'll make him angry. But if you don't feed him, you'll see that he changes colors. And when he turns to bright red, he will bite you and you'll take damage. You don't want to do that. So aside from trying to take the corners as best as you can, and avoiding, being slow in the level, you have to worry about feeding your fish. As you can see, he's very close to getting bit right now. Sometimes the fish just doesn't want to cooperate, and he'll go off screen. Like you saw him go for a fish right there. So he should be blue right now, but you saw him just sort of play with it for a bit and not eat it. So the fish kind of has a mind of its own. You shouldn't need to eat too many more fish to beat the level. Yeah, he's fine. Now we're coming on to, I'm not entirely sure how to classify this boss fight. Most of us just call him Derp Face. He's basically a face in the wall that shoots water at you. And you get to be the elephant and shoot water back at him. So this is Squirt. Shoots water at you very slowly. You gotta absorb water as the elephant. Shoot them in his eyes. Do that 3 times. The only way they could really speed this up is by grabbing the ski that he drops in an optimal way. Same as the ski that we got from Chaos. We're going to take those back, much like the patch also that we got from Eric. We're going to take that back to Funky. Funky's going to build us a new set of wheels to travel around the northern hemisphere. So that was a pretty good World 4, I gotta say, and optimal ski grab. So we're gonna take our boat back to Funky with the 2 skis.
All right, on to the best world in the game.
Agreed. World 5 is definitely the most entertaining. Even if you're playing the J version or the U version. There's a lot of really, really cool stuff going on. Right out of the gate, we got 5-1, which is really cool ropes. Now, I'm hoping we're going to see a... it's not here, that's done, never mind. But Dixie climbs these ropes much, much, much faster than Kitty does. So for most of these levels, we're going to be using Dixie. It's just so entertaining. So cool. Then we have one more auto-scroller after this, which is Tearaway Toboggan. Then another barrel waterfall level. Probably my favorite barrel waterfall level. It's got a really neat trick in it, where you're going to team throw to skip a barrel cycle. And skip pretty much an entirety of the left side of the map. Copy paste is strong in chat today. And then we're going to come on to Crockshot Croc, which we call in the community Purple Strawberry Milkshake Factory. You'll see in a second. Well, it is possible actually to skip this, skip the toboggan, but it's much slower. So yeah, with most of the auto-scrollers in this game, there's not really much you can do to speed them up. Jumping down slopes, I think, does a little bit. It's pretty. The hitboxes are also a little bit weird. Like you could accidentally take damage off the side of the roof, and both your Kongs will be dead for some reason. Very soundly programmed game. But otherwise, if you just make sure that your jumps are tight and you don't actually land on anything you're not supposed to land on, then you're going to be fine. And we're out of there. So here we have barrel drop bounce, 5-3. Probably my favorite level in the game. So we're going to be team throwing to skip many parts of this level because they put the cliffs low enough. I mean, it's definitely what we're going to be doing. Especially right here. And then right here, instead of going towards the left, we're going to be throwing her to the top barrel here and then over towards the right, which is trickier than it looks, but still fairly easy. And that cuts the level down significantly. Coming into Crack Shot Croc, or Purple Strawberry Milkshake Factory. Because there's vats of strawberry milkshake bubbling. The spider in this game differs from the one in DKC2 because you can't just touch both shoulder buttons. You have to you press them one frame apart in order to create your instant platforms. Also in this game, the spider is apparently actually wearing shoes, so he's going to be able to jump on enemies, which he can't in DKC2. These precise jumps that he's doing are also pretty impressive. You know, you don't have a lot of space to land on in between those two purple strawberry milkshake vats there. So it's a hard level to optimize, but still like a lot of fun. It's like Webwoods 2.0, except a lot easier. So this, we're choosing to go into this level as solo Dixie because it saves a lot of lag. These Lemguins have also very questionable hitboxes. Sometimes you're able to roll through them like you just did. Sometimes you'll look like you'll roll through them, but you'll actually take damage. But it's still pretty stressful because coming up next is the main attraction, the frame perfect.
Oh yeah.
Frame perfection, bleak skip. All right, we're gonna see a Marks glide. Yeah, we are. Oh, coming on a bleak skip. So if we can get some quiet from the chat so a streamer can hear the audio cue. He's intentionally taking damage so that he's going to press start. He got it. First try bleak skip. This is a run. This is a speed run.
Nice.
I've seen players spend 10, 15 minutes trying to do that.
What is that face being spammed in the chat?
I don't know.
Wow.
Very, very well done, Gasu.
It does not look like a guy I'd want to meet.
So 6-1, I think is one of the more boring levels in the game. Mainly because I don't play it enough, and it's actually really hard. But you're this purple parrot, quacks, not squawks. This guy cannot shoot eggs, can only pick up barrels and fly, unlike in DKC2, where he can only fall. That skip is important because now he doesn't have to fight the boss of Bleak, which is almost a minute long. He can just cheese it and move on with his life. No, the green parrot is named Squawks. The purple parrot, which we're seeing right now, his name is Quawks. So yeah, I just this level's interesting in the sense that there's a lot of damage boosts that you can do, which kind of cheese the level, but otherwise it's just very long and hard to get into. So here we're going to go through a little bit of a bear cutscene before the longest level in the game, Burn Your Rope. You'll see why it's called Burn Your Rope in a second. So, another auto-scroller. I think, is this the last one? Yeah, this is the last one. So, usually as runners, we'll take this time to we'll take this time to update the viewers on the run and tell them what's going on. So, Burn Your Rope update. This is not a bad run so far. Gasu is definitely putting on a good show. He's got a first try Bleak skip. Unfortunately, he dropped a cycle in Chaos, but other than that, this run has been very, very, very good. I think we're definitely looking at a sub 50 right now. Probably even 48. The gimmick of this level is that you got enemies coming at you left and right. You got a rope that you're climbing, which is on fire, and you have to avoid it. Very easy to fall asleep and forget what you're doing. It's an auto-scroller. We have a guess for a 49. I think he's on 48 pace. He's got a 47 PB. 46 is possible. There are little sections here where it's unavoidable, so you have to stay in that barrel and get shot upwards. The only tech that you can really do to speed this up is jump off the rope a little earlier than you needed to by using a visual cue to spawn to grab the flag as soon as it spawns. Actually, yeah, that's very true. The challenging thing about this level is that you're in danger of falling asleep. So he's going to line up the flame with a flower poking out of the cliff shortly. And he's going to jump off. But yeah, this Trilogy run is going really, really well so far. I can estimate it'll probably be about a 2:15, maybe, if I had to guess. So we're coming into the last water level. Sorry, the second last water level in the game. This is Floodlit Fish. We get to show off the prowess of On Guard in DKC3, where whenever he's spamming stab like that, he's invincible. There's very, very little that can damage him, except if you touch those urchins in one of their few damaging frames. It's the only thing that can really hurt you, and getting lost in this level is also really, really hard. I believe that eating a banana is paying homage to what Feast did in RTA in Japan last year, where he ate an entire banana in a monkey suit in an autoscroller. If you haven't seen that, please do yourself a favor. It's pretty funny. So that level's over. We're gonna get one more instance with the fish. 2 more instances with the fish. I keep forgetting about the last water level. Doesn't do the bird skip. You could skip that bird, grabbing Squawks right there. It's faster to do it in the American version because of the placement of the birds in the bottom there. But in the Japanese version, they're placed in such a way where it doesn't really save that much time. So it's not really worth going for in the Japanese version unless you're going for a top time. So someone in chat was complaining, how come we don't see them ride the animals anymore? Well, this is probably the last level you're going to see them get their ride on. Other than the beginning part there, it's again just tight platforming, doing a couple water bounces here and there. We're opting to not take the spider here. Don't really need him for much, unless you're doing the 103 category. And here we're going to see an instance of a 2-1 jump. It's a frame perfect trick.
Second try.
Second try? Well, you're ahead of me then. I'm going to refresh my stream.
Alright.
And I wonder if we'll see... No, we didn't see Wang boost. Fortunate. I do love a good Wang boost.
Wait, there's only been 2 103 facts? Jesus.
I'm going to refresh my stream.
103.
So, yeah, that's World 6. Excuse me. Here is probably one of the hardest boss fights in the game. In the trilogy. I'll say that. One of the hardest boss fights in the trilogy. This is Barbos. There's so much RNG. There's so much that can go wrong. Especially in this section. The speedrunners will position themselves in such a way where they can just sort of go underneath them like that and not take damage. But this is definitely like a big gatekeeper for new runners, is doing this boss fight optimally. He makes it look really easy, but I assure you it's actually not. Doing the fast coin grab there. But yeah, Gasu's on a very, very nice run so far. I think we're still on 48 pace. Probably another 10 minutes or so. We'll be out of here. But this last world, World 7, it's a really world. Starting with conveyor ropes, where they're moving either towards the left or towards the right when you're grabbing onto them. So they can either work for you or against you. There's a couple different strats that people can do in this level. If depending on your skill level, you can choose to damage boost through some bees at the end, or you can just sort of jump around them. It's tricky, very tricky.
Alright, Dustin was first, so
First try. So yeah, this section in particular can be very tricky because you're the way that those ropes are moving, you can easily get launched into a bee. He's opting to do the not damage boost strats, setting up the rope and the camera in a certain way where you can just hold right through the whole thing. And then coming up here is RNG caverns. These white barrels are are on a timer, and it's random which direction they're going to spawn. So on top of really tricky platforming, you have to position yourself in such a way where you can grab the barrels as fast as you can if you're if they're going to be pointed in the right way, which is, again, like I say, they have to be pointed in the right way. And he's getting some pretty good luck so far. Let's see what this one has to say. Yep, pretty good luck so far. It's not perfect, but it's really close. Oh, almost took damage there. Hovered at the last second. See, perfect would have been that the barrel would have been shooting right up. Yeah, you can get trolled. You can get trolled pretty hard here. Here's Lightning Lookout. A common misconception is that the lightning cycles are random, but they're not. As long as your movement is, they always try to, they try to hit you where you're going to be, not where you are. So if your movement is exactly the same every single time, then you're not going to take damage. I'm doing a couple of well-timed damage boosts. Also, when you're in the water and the lightning touches the water, obviously you're going to take damage. But after this, we only have 2 more levels. And then the final boss fight, which is actually very hard. It's definitely worth a round of applause. That was a good lightning lookout. Didn't have to hesitate or anything. So here's Coin Dozer Clamber. These guys are bullies. They'll just push you right off the edge. They don't care. And a lot of runs have died because of these guys. They don't play by the rules. But it looks like the hard part's pretty much over. Sometimes you have to actually bring them with you so you can jump up on the higher platforms. But like if you were to land on them while they're sort of looking diagonal, they'll just push you, and you'll land in the edge, or like off a cliff. Tricky there, and then one more. We have Poisonous Pipeline, I think. But the purple water means that your controls are reversed in this level. So even though he's moving towards the right or moving towards the left, he's actually holding the opposite direction on his control pad. And this only happens when you're in the water. It's very frustrating. I recall a time when I was young playing this game and I got lost many times.
Best way to play this level is to play on an emulator and just reverse your inputs.
Yeah, that's a way to cheese it, for sure.
I actually did that in a race once. No one called me out on it.
Who would notice? But the same is with the fish here. Like, your controls are reversed. So he's doing a really good job so far. Oh, it's doesn't matter really, because yeah, it doesn't matter because you're gonna want to be Kitty in Phase 1 of Chaos anyway.
Only left and right are reversed.
Yeah. But for the first phase of Chaos, you want to be Kitty, but for the second phase, you want to be Dixie. So I guess it's kind of negligible. Here he's gonna throw and then position himself in such a way where the game notices he's on the left side, but he's gonna team throw, so he's on the right. and the first barrel is going to spawn closer to him, so he doesn't have to wait. Now he's setting up for the final fight with Dixie. Now this boss fight is actually very, very difficult, especially for casual players. There's RNG. It's a mess. It's just a mess. Here, K. Rule is going to tell us that his wife's going to kill him because we just destroyed his wife's best pots and pans. Apparently, we're the bad guys here. But yeah, the gimmick is pretty much you got to grab these levers, and barrels are going to fall from the sky. You're going to use those barrels to hit him in the back. The way that he bounces depends on where you hit him and how fast you hit him after the barrel spawns. Like you saw how we sort of got stuck in the corner there. If he was just a pixel off, he probably wouldn't have got stuck, and his flight pattern would have been completely off. And then he's going to turn the lightning on here. And you can see why we choose to be, or why you need to be Dixie in this fight. So positioning himself on the rightmost edge there, he's going to set himself up for what the task does. We call it Task K Roll. Where instead of riding the platform all the way, he's going to try to jump. There, yeah, you did a really good job of that. Jump and grab the lever before he turns around. Saves about 6 seconds. As opposed to just riding it and climbing on the levers hanging from the ceiling. And we're in the final phase here. Hit him till he falls and lands in the lightning. Do that 3 times. And that's it. Nice run from Gasu. Nice run from the Japanese players there. 2-11. Gasu holding it down with a really, really nice DKC2 run.
Yeah, I wonder what that was. That was like really clean.
That was a 48. It had to have been a 48. But geez, that was a really good run. 48.04 according to chat. My God, that would have been world record. If it weren't for Sui Mind. Funny enough, I think that was Sui's first world record he had on...
That was 48.08? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unreal.
All right, so... Wow. That was pretty nice run all around.
It was a very nice run. All 3 of them. You can see why they're 3 of the most elite players on the planet as well. We were truly lucky to get a treat to see all 3 of them play.
Okay.